Regan Slaymaker for Not Just Boxing. I have the pleasure to be joined by Matchroom CEO Frank Smith. Frank, massive fight week ahead of massive night on Saturday night, mate.
Huge fight week. Great, great turnout tonight here at the Football Museum, National Football Museum. What a fight! What a main event. Jack Catterall, Arnold Barboza, WBO interim world championship. What an undercard as well. Pick of that has got to be Bellotti against Gomez. A bit of spite there, a bit more of a storyline than the first time around. We're close to seeing it. I'm not going to say that until they ring walk though, until about a minute before. But it's close and. Great night in Manchester. Looking forward to it back at the Co-op.
Definitely as well. I was listening to Steve Bunce's podcast with Reese and Eddie was on it as well. And Reese is still very much convinced that Gomez bottled it. Like, that's his words, not mine, Michael, if you're watching this interview. But yeah, you were just up there with the face-to-face. What were they saying to each other up there?
No, he said, I think it was more like, make sure you turn up. And Reese said, I feel a bit more confident you are actually going to show up this time around. But you'll see the actual version in a couple of minutes on our Instagram page. But there's a bit more fire between the two of those now. I think come the weigh-in, it could be a bit tastier that face-off.
Definitely with the main event, obviously Jack and Arnold as well. It doesn't seem as fiery as that fight, but it seems like it's simmering quite nicely. Do you think that could get progressively more spicy as the week goes on?
I think by the time the weigh-in comes around, for sure. And also you got Rick Merigian and Sam Jones. So they can have a little roll around. I'm sure Arnold Barboza's got something planned about a message that Sam Jones sent him years ago that he'd knock out Jack Catterall. So, it would be a nice spicy press conference tomorrow as well.
Right hand to God, that never happened.
Never happened.
And I mean, a massive card. I just want to have an update on one of the fights. Obviously, Joe McGrail was supposed to fight Ashley Lane. I imagine Joe McGrail, obviously an injury to one of those two.
Yeah, unfortunately an injury to Joe McGrail. Yeah, it was... He was training hard, ready to go. I saw him because in December we were with him at the Peters fight, and he was excited for this one because it was a great fight. But yeah, injury. I think he'll be out of the gym for about 6 weeks, so probably back in the ring about April, May time. Hopefully we can reschedule that fight because I think it was a great fight.
Definitely, it was a fight that I was looking forward to, and that was a bit of a sleeper fight on this one. I do want to move on to some other fighters as well. Last time I spoke to Eddie, he was discussing a potential unification between Bam and Puma Martinez. Are we any closer to that being made?
It's a great fight. It's a fight we're looking at the opportunity. We'll see how it plays out, but that would be a brilliant one. Bam is one of those fighters, not all fighters are quite like him, where he actually wants to take real fights, wants to challenge himself. And not a lot of people want to do that. A lot of people just want to coast through. He wants to, at a young age, every fight he goes into be a real meaningful fight. So I'm excited about that if we can make it happen, because it's a brilliant fight. Obviously Puma was supposed to fight, I think back in December. Got cancelled very late in the day. So yeah, hopefully we can see that one because it would be great.
Definitely. You mentioned kind of this real fighters only tagline. I was speaking to Eddie about it, Lidard Azasi fight week. I was speaking to Sonny Edwards about it on Sunday. Is it very much a shift in the matchmaking from Matchroom, kind of, if you're not taking X fight, then maybe you might not be on a show for a while? Is it very much that mentality going into the fight cards? Yeah,
look, it's difficult because you can't really win, because fans look at it when people get beat and go, look at Matchroom, absolute joke, and it's like, well, you want great fights. At the end of the day, if this fight is if this sport is going to continue to grow, develop and build, you need to watch engaging fights. Why do I want to go and watch something that I know the result of? Right. I'm more like your sports fan, like, casual for the use of the word. I want to watch things that I have no clue what's going to happen, and that's the reality of it. And that means people are going to lose, but that's where the sport went so wrong, in my opinion, for so long, because it was just fights that no one was interested in. And now it's about making fights that anything could happen. Like, look at the fights, even like Lidard, that fight. He boxed great, but it was a tough fight, a real test for him. But he's going to learn so much more in a fight like that than he would going in coasting in an 8-rounder or a 10-rounder against a journeyman that does nothing for him. So yes, we need to make fights that people are interested by, and that's the focus. And if people don't win, it doesn't mean it's the end. That's the key for me, is as long as you put in great performances, you'll be back time and time again.
Definitely as well. I do want to move on to Jai Opetaia. It seems like the cruiserweight division is being stacked up with mandatories and things like that. What could be next for Jai?
I think he's got... he dealt with his mandatory, I think, because the mandatory pulled out and the Naika counted as a mandatory. Look, he wants unifications. That's the fights he wants. It was a tremendous performance against David Naika. Fair play to David Naika, because he showed a lot of heart, and I think Opetaia needs those unification fights now, so that's got to be the aim.
Could it mean him waiting? Obviously, I think Ramirez has got to fight Dorticos, and there's a situation with the WBC that's far too complicated to say.
I mean, there's a lot going on with the WBC with that one. Yeah.
Do you think he could wait? He could wait out until that unification comes about.
I think you have to see how long it's going to be. Like, it might be the right decision if it's 6 months. If it's 9, 10, 11, 12 months, might be, a tough one to wait out. I think we need to see how things play out. But the focus for him is a bit like what we're saying about Bam, making real fights. Because it is, these fighters, you got to remember they're doing 10, 12-week training camps. They need to be driven. They need to be up for getting into these fights. So maybe an easier fight, but still got to do a grueling 10-week training camp. Got to make weight, got to do all of that work. So they want to go in there every time and be in real fights. And I respect that. And there's a fine balance, though, between time out the ring and waiting for fights, but we'll see how things play out.
Definitely as well. Final one for me. I see that Teofimo Lopez is potentially headlining a card in Alcatraz of all places as well. Obviously, there was some talks, I think, of him fighting Richards and Hitchens. Could that unification land there on that ring card?
I'm not sure if it's on that card. Alcatraz will be interesting, won't swim back. I think we'll see. That's a great fight. Obviously both represented as well, managed by Keith Connolly now as well. So let's see if that can happen. I know Teofimo's got a lot of stuff going on with Top Rank. He's been very open about that. So we'll see how things play out. But great fight if it can happen.
I hope so. Frank Smith, thank you very much.
See you in Alcatraz.
Cheers,
mate.
See you in Alcatraz. Yeah.